socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Got your beer.
Keep following the leader.
Oh my God.
Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Yeah. Here's another one. And another one. Yeah. Lil' Kim, the queen bee. It's ladies night, what? It must be Angie on the mic. The butter pea, honey got the sugar and the spice. Roll the L's type, keep my rhyme right. Yo, I just made this mother sucker up last night. And I'm the rookie on this all-star team. Me and Kim is getting cream like Thelma and Louise, but on chrome. Never leave that LA stuff alone. Cause if we say it's on, then it's on. What?
Bang this in your whips, pack them cold roadie with the chips in the wrist. Here's a French kiss. I dismiss all you chicks. Spit 6 from the 4th, 5th, make it dance.
Ow!
I stay focused and the dopest.
Like a penny with a hole in it, y'all just hopeless.
And topless. I ain't lying. Trying to knock me off. Keep trying. All it takes is one phone call to my street team.
Promote that like a soundtrack, New Jack City. Set it off with the 850.
Y'all missing the buck.
With the bump, Biggie in the trunk.
In the buck to my double.
Listen,
let me see you do the bang.
You cannot tell me that we don't need a vibe like this. Oh, what a night. You are locked into Hour 3, the After Hour, on RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Thank you for rocking with us VIPs. Come on, Left Eye. You cannot tell me that we don't need another one of this. Do you remember when they performed this on the MTV VMAs? Fire, the video. Fire, all the women that weren't even on the song that were in the video. Mary was in it. Escape was in it. Look, they even had, what's the lady's name? The older woman. She was, I'm blanking on her name, but I think we need something like that. We need some female unity, you know, like Latifah and Moni Love, ladies first, something like that. I think that the time is right for that, you know? So really quickly, Cardi, you know, she said she's taking a hiatus from social media. She said she's going to take like a week off and let her team run it, a week. But a week sounds good. It's a start. You got to start somewhere, right? You got to get it in. But her parting shots were, because people were talking about that Ken Barbie, he's a stan. He said, thank you, because they're definitely trying to flip the narrative like this man didn't do what he did on Instagram and tag every blog in it. Be mad at him and his friends, right? Because Megan Kuniff, you know, Megan the reporter, said, it's also notable the probation officer and judge did not need an outside report complaint to act on this. Offset and Cardi B didn't even seem to care. Offset LOL'd about the video, and as he walked off the jet, we saw him, you know, going to the Colorado game. So they didn't report them. They didn't turn in Nicki's husband. And Cardi's response was, exactly, keep me and my man's names out y'all bleep mouth. Because, you know, Cardi gonna let you know. I just hope that this situation ends peacefully, you know, and that we can move around and move along. Talib in the chat, it's gone now, it wasn't from the previous hour, mentioned Rhapsody. Listen, I like Rhapsody. Rhapsody can spit. Rhapsody doesn't make songs that people want to vibe to. And that is unfortunate, right? I feel like if you could get Raps, and maybe she doesn't want to. We know that she can spit. We know that she has, you know, a different type of subject matter, right? You think that if we got Rhapsody with a different producer, a hot producer, that she could have something that would be, I don't want to say more radio friendly, because that's not really what I'm saying, but just something that will hold the attention. I'm not saying she has to go ratchet. I'm not even saying that she has to get a ratchet rapper, but are Rhapsody's songs repeatable for the average person?
I can't even name one Rhapsody song.
Thank you.
But it's funny that, when we speak of her in high regards, but we still can't even name not one song of hers.
And I think that she has just a little bit, I don't want to say resentment, but I think that she is aware that she is always used to uphold this stereotype of what the antithesis is to the ratchet female rap that's out now. People always throw her name in the mix. They always hold her up. They always say, well, what about Rhapsody? But to your point, they're not streaming her music. They're not supporting her. And I feel like people often talk about, no, it's the media and who is being pushed into the forefront, but it's a choice. And there are so many, and I get it, there are so many different ways that you can look at and say, oh, they're not giving shine to these other rappers. But what I know is that it comes down to the money and it comes down to the attention. So if we the audience were like, man, that Rhapsody song goes, I want to see more of her, they will put out 5 more like her in order to add that to the mix. And it's not happening because people aren't looking for that. And though that may seem like a cop-out, we're not being led around. The audience isn't. They know what they like. Ice Spice is for a very specific generation. She don't know a lot about the older generation that came before her. And she gives a certain type of energy. And that's fine, That is fine. People can't even remember rappers like Antoinette that came out like in 1988. Antoinette's Got an Attitude and stuff like that. But she, at the time, filled a void, served a purpose. And so not everybody is going to be able to have that longevity and stand out, nor should they. But I do think that Rhapsody would benefit from some type of collaboration that people aren't expecting. I think she has it in her, and maybe she just doesn't want to, but it's unfair people always throw her out there but don't support on the other side.
I think that it's probably incumbent of Nicki Minaj. I think she's somewhat of the gatekeeper to a degree. I think it would be up to her to maybe organize.
Not Cardi now? I think it's Cardi, because although Nicki collaborates with a lot of younger rappers, she seems to do it in a different way than Cardi does.
Well, Cardi kind of already does it, the way I see it. Like, she's already collaborating with the people, you know what I mean? Nicki, the only collaborations I could think of with newer artists was Megan and Ice Spice. And
Megan was kind of forced. I felt like that was, and now they're enemies. And Cardi and Megan are talking about doing a joint album together, which
that would be fire.
Listen, if they do, because they obviously have great chemistry, they sound great on record together, and if they do that, it's gonna be quiet. It's gonna be quiet for you, 100%.
Girl. 100%. But I do think that it probably would be up to Nicki to grab the old school. You know what I'm saying? Grab the Foxies, the Lil' Kim. That's history right there.
But she doesn't have relationships with them.
I understand, but that's the point, though.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like Nicki is low-key that anchor that can go ahead and grab the old school. Yeah, she's going to have to humble herself, apologize, and just be like, look, this is all about sisterhood. This is all about unity. Let's do it. It'll break numbers. It's up to her. I don't think anybody else can organize that.
Well, when we come forward, we are going to play the 911 call of the alleged swatter that sent police to Nicki's home several times over. And, she had a post online, and we want to see what your thoughts are. If you obviously the fandom is going too far, but what do you do when your fans are doing this type of behavior? All of that and more. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Have you heard about Lendustry? Lendistry is a national Black-led small business lender that is headquartered right here in LA. Once you've started your business, Lendistry provides flexible financing options starting at $50,000 to help you access the affordable capital needed to grow. Whether financing is needed to increase working capital, acquire a business, purchase inventory and equipment, or refinance debt, Lendistry has a solution for you. Lending products range from traditional business term loans and non-revolving lines of credit to SBA 7A loans and commercial real estate financing. Lendistry's pre-application process is simple and does not impact your credit score. Visit lendistry.com/KBLA to learn more and to get started with an application right from the website.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
Roll Charmin ultra strong when you drop in the beat. It cleans with way less effort on your seat. Yeah, roll it, drop it. Yeah, roll it, drop it. Okay. Charmin flows extra strong from the road. Your butt hella clean while you're sitting on the bowl. Yeah, it's all you need for that bathroom groove. Get you in and out without nothing to prove.
Charmin Ultra Strong cleans better so you can use less. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for education as a right, not a privilege. Charles R. Drew University of Medicine and Science is a private, non-profit, community-founded, student-centered university committed to cultivating diverse health profession leaders who are dedicated to social justice and health equity for underserved populations. CDU does this through outstanding education, clinical service, and community engagement. Recently, Charles Drew University made history by opening only the 5th medical school at an historically Black university. Congratulations, South LA, and congratulations to the Dean of the medical school, Dr. Deborah Protho-Stith. CDU is now training doctors and providing $90 million in annual economic benefit to Watts and surrounding neighborhoods. To apply for medical school, get more information, or sign your child up for the Junior Doctors Saturday School program, visit cdrewu.edu. That's cdrewu.edu. At KBLA, we are dedicated to equity in education and ending healthcare apartheid, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So let me tell you the 4 stories that we want to get into before the end of the night. I think that we'll have time for all of them, but I just want to set you up before we play this Nicki Minaj clip. So we're going to talk a little bit about Naomi Campbell and her struggle with grief and addiction in our What to Watch segment, and maybe I'll just get that out the way now. I don't know. There is an Apple TV Plus series coming called The Supermodels. I think the first episode is already aired, and it's about Naomi, Christy Turlington, Linda Evangelista, and Cindy Crawford and their era of the supermodels, the different things that they went through. Naomi talks a great deal about being the Black woman, a top model during that time period and the racism that she faced. But she also talks about the death of Gianni Versace and what it did to her emotionally and how the grief tore her apart and how she utilized addiction a bit with some substances to help get her through it, and that it is a nasty piece of work. So we will check that out on Apple TV Plus. We're also going to get into Oprah Winfrey and her thoughts on Ozempic. She says y'all are cheating the game. And we're going to talk about Dwyane Wade and Gabrielle Union, a couple of stories related to that about their marriage. I know that feels like we always kind of circle the block on these issues, but people always seem to have a lot of comments on the way that they have structured their relationship. So we're going to get into that. But first, let's play this recording of Nicki Minaj that she posted on her Instagram. Allegedly, this is the woman that has been swatting her, I think that she said over 10 times. And it's really serious, the type of 911 calls and what she is alleging is going on at her home.
Gated community, but he has a shotgun and he fired 5 shots. And he's could be possibly drunk, or he has the child in his arm. And she just keeps telling him to put the child down. I don't know if he's trying to leave with the kid, and she's just trying to talk him out of it. And he fired 5 gunshots, but nobody.
So that stuff is a lie, right? But if you were telling the police, and I believe Nikki lives in Calabasas, right? That a man is outside, a woman's holding a baby, and he has a shotgun and has already let off 5 shots. That is a dangerous, dangerous situation to put someone in. And I know that they haven't been able to serve the individual that they believe is responsible yet, but I think something like that, you deserve a serious punishment. That's crazy. And no matter what you think and feel about Nikki, or if these people feel that they are doing it in defense of the female rapper that they like, that is nuts. There's a small child in the house. And the thing that makes this all the more unfortunate, kind of going back to something we were speaking of earlier, the reason why they have access to Nikki's home address, because her husband is a sexual offender and has to register, and that stuff is public record. So anyway, one more thing on the subject of female rap and all of that. I didn't mention Doja. And I think that we got to kind of give Doja's one who flips with the voices and sort of that thing that Nicki Minaj started off with the different tones, voices, accents, and so forth. She's a continuation for it. And she has a nice pen game, too.
I rock with Doja 100%.
Me too.
But I think the thing with Doja is I don't know if people really put her in that hip-hop category. She raps. You know what I'm saying? And she got bars, but I think a lot of people view her like in that pop category now.
Absolutely. But, you know, her second album is dropping next month. And we know that she's released like one of the singles, I think is called Demons or something like that. So here's the thing. She's going hip hop. This is supposed to be her hip hop album, but she's using imagery that for the most part we know. And I'm not saying black people aren't her audience. In theory, I'm not saying that they aren't, but they're not the target in theory, even though this album is supposed to be a hip hop album. You know, we don't really get down with the, you know, demons and sort of what looks to be I'm not even going to say anti-Christian, just anti-God, or that you're playing those games.
Illuminati.
You know, whatever the case may be. And, you know, the creepy video where she had the shadow call. It's a lot. It's a lot. So it's going to be interesting to see what unfolds with Doja when this next album drops, because she also has alienated a small amount of her fan base because she don't like them and they're getting on her nerves. So be curious to see what happens and what happens with that tour. But shout out to all the female rappers. We need another ladies' night. Ladies, just saying. So listen, and I forgot to mention, it's actually 5 stories, because the whole title of this hour, look, there's a Miami Dolphins star. He just signed a $90 million extension. And it seems like what he did to celebrate was go out and hit all the bad chicks, no condom. So Xavier Howard, he signed a $90 million contract extension last season, and it feels like he's going to have to dedicate at least $20 million to some new kitties that are going to be running around. So what happens is, you know, it's an Instagram model that spilled the beans, right? She got on Instagram and she calls herself Ty the 5-footer. She is, you know, maybe an OnlyFans girl, maybe not, but something of that ilk. And she basically put up screenshots of text conversations and DMs and correspondence with one of the mothers of his only children. And her post was, let's clear the air, because this man obviously has a fetish for getting women pregnant. I now have his other baby's mothers reaching out to me. I ended up getting pregnant after being with X a few times. He told me he wanted to have a baby with me, and regardless of what he said, I still took a plan B. It clearly failed because I was around ovulation. Yeah, how you know? You checking that? I mean, not saying that you shouldn't. Sounds responsible, but when we're talking about those type of things and professional athletes, I get a little skittish. I get a little concerned. I don't know. Anyway, she said, whatever, I own up to my actions. So, you know, she's admitting it was interesting, and I accept the fact that I'm having a baby. He was mad at first, and then we ended up meeting at his house during the first week of September. It was until he asked me how much he should give me monthly during my pregnancy, and I responded that he caught an attitude and ghosted me. I had an ultrasound and sent him the pics, and as you can see in the screenshot, things all unraveled from there. Howard has faced issues with women with whom he was romantically involved with before. Last August, I believe it came out that he was served with a lawsuit from a former lover claiming that he secretly filmed them having sex and sent it around without permission. It was filed in Florida, and another woman sued him last year claiming that he gave her herpes. So look, clearly this man is not investing in condoms. And what I am saying to you, right? $90 million. I know you want to stretch that out. I know you want to hold on to at least a portion of that. I don't want to say damage, because babies are blessings, and hopefully, these will be loving family units that raise healthy, balanced children. But hey, dog, condoms are cheap in comparison to what your salary is. Can't be that good. You're messing up these women's pH balances, doing all of that spreading around. And these are the only ones that got caught up. We don't know what was in between there. Slow down, buddy. Still a lot happening in these streets. Slow down. All right, now that we got in all of that, I want to talk a little bit about Dwyane Wade. Now, he and Gabby, their marriage, the situation surrounding it, always controversial. Even all of these years, they've been married almost 10 years at this point, been together since 2008. But, the circumstances are still gets the people going. People are still curious, still interested, still wondering about certain aspects of their relationship. So D-Wade recently appeared on Shannon Sharp's podcast, and they had a conversation both about the maturation process that happens when you get with a woman, an older woman, and it's time to move along from your boys and that situation. And they talked about how Gabby had a conversation with Dwyane, and it was hard because you come up with these guys, and in the early times it's fun, it's a party, and you want all your people with you. But he expressed how, the Mavericks, Randys, and Rich Pauls of the world, they're rare. And somebody has to step in and stand up. I'm telling you, the biggest change, not the biggest, but one of the biggest changes that comes in an athlete's existence is when he gets a steady girlfriend, a wife, a fiance, and she comes in and cleans house. It's a problem for him. Let's hear what D-Wade had to say.
Sometimes I'm noticing guys won't sacrifice a homeboy. Man, he was there from the beginning. Man, hey, I can't let my homeboy go, bro, but he holding you back. He putting you in a situation where you can't climb to the top because he's holding you back. Yeah. Was it difficult for you to leave some of the homeboys, even though you're like, yeah, bro, we grew up together, but where I'm ascending to?
It was, and it is, right? Especially when you're young. When you're young, man, you growing up in an impoverished community, all you got is your homeboys and your family. Right. And so y'all all have the same dream together. Right. To a point where your dream become everybody's dream. Right. When you're the one who's, and so, man, when I made it, man, we made it. Right. We in here. You're right. And so you carry that. You carry that mentality like, yo, we all here. We all made it. Right. And you try to allow access for everybody. Right. Because if you're that person, you try to allow access and bring everybody with you. Right. But we all know how that's going to work. It's only going to be, man, if you're lucky, you'll find a Maverick Carter in the bunch. If you're lucky, if you're lucky, you'll find someone who wants more than what just they're given. Right. Yeah. Because everybody, when you get into the league, you get in this situation, everybody loves what they love the sneakers they get. Right. They love the outfits they get. Right. How many people you're going to find that's going to go and be like, yo, thank you for getting us here. Now I got to go get mine right away. Right. I ain't talking about once it's over. Right. And it doesn't happen often. And a lot of it, too, is you are not in a position where you're comfortable enough to tell these individuals, hey, man, I might be able to buy you a gift to say, thanks for being my homeboy. You go watch. Right. Man, you go even a car because we got it like that. But I can't take care of your entire life. Right. That is for your entire life. Right. And so that's a hard conversation to have when y'all all have a
You're
dream
cool,
together.
yeah. We all grew up, man. I knew you didn't have anything, man.
Yeah.
You used to eat at my house. You know, you sleep on my couch.
Yeah, because you feel like, man,
You feel an obligation.
Yeah, and if you don't got a most time people get rid of stuff like that is when they got a woman to come in and she be like, yo, hey, he can't be sleeping on the couch.
Right,
He can't,
right.
Your homeboy can't have the key to that because that's how it is.
Right.
And it took my wife to come in and be like, she was an older woman that came in like, what's going on in this frat house y'all got going on?
Right.
What's up in this dorm room?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I kind of had to like, oh, you're right. I'm with a grown woman now. I had to clear shop a little bit. And so sometimes it takes certain people to come in to show you like, yo, like, what are you doing?
Right.
So I think that is interesting because we talked about last week when the Shirley Strawberry conversation leaked. She mentioned Steve being scared of his wife. And I think in actuality, you know, people were, most men are scared of their wives or something like that. But I think it's things like this. When you have a relationship, it causes you to have to be accountable and responsible, we would hope, in a different sort of way. But it's always interesting to me that the woman gets cast as the villain because the guy doesn't know how to step up and do it. You know, Andy's loading up. Andy got something to say. What you got to say, Andy?
You know what it is? Because y'all ain't got no homegirls.
We do have homegirls. What are you saying?
Okay, maybe you.
Okay.
Maybe you.
Gabby has homegirls. They're around all the time. You see Dwyane with the homegirls.
Okay, well, you know, I from my experience, you know what I'm saying, just lately, and I know not every woman is like this, but I know a lot of women who don't have friends like that. You know what I'm saying?
They want their man to be their BFF.
To a degree, but then also, it's also because they don't get along with other females. You know what I'm saying? And I just be like, well, damn. Because sometimes I remember it was an issue in a previous relationship, you know. She was upset that I was always hanging out with the homies, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. And part of me was just like, well, where your friends at? You know what I'm saying? While I'm kicking it with my friends, you can go kick it with your friends. When it's time, we can come and link up together.
100%.
But because she doesn't have no homegirl, she's just like, she wants all my time. You know what I mean? So
I think female relationships can be tricky, especially if you aren't in the same place as far as, you know, with your relationship, or, you know, if you have hobbies, or if what connected you was something else, like, you know, you have your good homegirl from the 20s and you guys are connected because you're running and gunning. That's your runaround friend. You guys were hitting the club, you're hitting, you know, the day parties or whatever, and maybe one gets in a relationship, and some girls are my man, and some are, you know, in between. So I think that can also cause issues. I don't know. I think that two complete wholes come together to make a greater one. You know, I when I was younger, maybe, you know, there were moments when you used to be clingy, but usually I feel like when that stuff comes up, it's concerns about cheating more so than just other things. I think, I don't know, maybe not, you know, more so than just, oh, I don't have any friends. It's like, you have friends, but I want to do something with my man. Especially now, you guys want to look cute on social media, so you push it. Pretty Brown Mimi says, can we talk about how Dwyane Wade did his first wife and left her hanging, allegedly? I have a different viewpoint on that. I actually talked to Siobhan quite a bit when they were going through her divorce. Another NBA wife put me in contact with her, and so I interviewed her a couple of times, and then she just randomly, at that point in time, would call me just to talk and kind of vent. So it was kind of an interesting conversation. When we come forward, we are going to talk about more about Dwyane Wade and Gabby. We're going to talk about his comments about what, for him, was worse than losing the NBA Finals, the conversation that he had with Gabrielle Union. Of course, we're going to talk about Oprah, Naomi Campbell, and more. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. News and sports is on the other side.
Big bad wolf, Miss Lady Rap Singer. I be the one to blame as the flames keep rising to the top, and it don't stop.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
I'm Doug Davis with the latest from the Black Information Network. The United Auto Workers strike against the big three U.S. automakers is now on day 7. Tomorrow is the deadline set by UAW President Shawn Fain that we'll see more workers heading to the picket lines if progress is not made. Nearly 13,000 auto workers remain on strike at 3 plants. Baltimore City is honoring a Native Award-winning Broadway actor. Black Mayor Brandon Scott joined other city and state officials in the renaming of the 1800 block of North Division Street in honor of Andre DeShields. The 77-year-old DeShields has won numerous accolades, including Tony, Grammy, and Emmy Awards. In Alabama, the Montgomery Smooth Jazz Fest returns to Riverwalk Amphitheater for a second year. The event is this Friday and Saturday. The lineup includes Alex Bugnon, Marion Meadows, Raheem Devon, Music Soul Child, and The Whispers. And that is the latest. I'm Doug Davis from the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com, and I sell custom blinds designed for do-it-yourselfers. Unlike stock blinds offered at big box retailers, Blindster blinds are custom made for your windows and shipping is free. Don't hire an expensive pro. Do it yourself and save big at Blindster.com.
Follow the leader. KBLA Talk 1580. Follow the leader.
If you're not following KBLA Talk 1580 on all of our socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Got your beer.
Follow the leader.
Following the leader.
Oh my God. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
What does access mean?
Access means owning a home. Access means growing my business.
Access means building generational wealth.
No matter your goals, U.S. Bank Access Commitment Programs and initiatives provide the tools and resources to help you reach them. Access your financial goals at usbank.com/access. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Tired of being locked out of job opportunities and shut down by systemic racism? KBLA stands with you in fighting for the rights of black workers, and we don't black down. The Los Angeles Black Workers Center is a dynamic alliance of workers, organized labor, community-based organizations, clergy, students, and scholars, working collectively to improve the position of the black working class. The LA Black Workers Center takes a comprehensive approach to addressing the black jobs crisis. Their programs promote access to quality jobs, racial equity in hiring and retention, discrimination-free job sites, and they prepare black workers for employment in high-wage, career-track jobs. The Black Workers Center supports workers who need help protecting their rights on the job. They give workers access to quality jobs and remove systemic barriers to employment. To sign up for free career readiness training, get involved in organizing around anti-discrimination, learn about union apprenticeship programs, or sign on to a trade registry, please visit www.lablackworkerscenter.org. That's lablackworkerscenter.org. Together, we can beat the black jobs crisis. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
JP Morgan Chase is building on the investments in California and around the country to help close the racial wealth gap and build a more equitable future. As part of JP Morgan Chase commitment, they are taking action to help improve financial wealth and access to banking in the black community, helping more people open low-cost checking and savings accounts, hosting community seminars with supporting black-led institutions by building awareness about financial investments, hiring community managers, and opening community center branches like Crenshaw, Inglewood, and downtown LA. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Get the tools to help reach your financial goals. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity.
KBLA Talk 1580 stands for Unity and Healing. African Focus Incorporated is a nonprofit organization based in California that focuses on the growth and well-being of Africans all around the world. Their mission is to promote the well-being of people of African descent through knowledge and appreciation of one another by building a bridge of love and understanding. African Focus Incorporated strives for cultural, educational, and economic growth. They're the organization behind the African Family Induction Ceremony, African Goodwill Awards, African Focus Trailblazer Tours, African Dance Competition, and Showcase Los Angeles, Family Day, Good News Windows Microfinance Project, and more. To volunteer, travel with African Focus, or to attend one of their community building events, please call 310-676-7730. That's 310-676-7300. Or visit AfricanFocus.org. This is a diaspora-wide community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yo, Jinx, man, we gotta find somebody that's down for hers, man.
Absolutely.
All these girls sipping, man. Who you think fit the category?
It's me, the brand new intelligent black woman, Y-O-Y-O, which is yo-yo. But I'm not to be played like I was made by Mattel. But this yo-yo was made by woman and male. I'm all about upright and uplifting the woman. For they are superior to handle any male, anytime, any rhyme, any flow, and any show. And if you ask my producers, they'll reply, no.
You can't play with my yo-yo. Don't try to play me out. Don't try to play me out. You gotta vibe for this for a second.
My name is Yo-Yo. I'm not a one-walk.
I like to flow so swift. It's got to be a gift.
So yo, let the beat lift as I rip and rhyme and rap and slap all the girls who can't adapt to the fact.
I hit the 8-ball often. The earrings I wear are called dolphins. Check the booty, yo, it's kinda soft, and if you touch it, you're living in a coffin.
I'm in the 90s.
You're still in the 80s, right? I rock the mic.
They say I'm not a lady.
You're in hour 3 of RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Now, I know that you recognize secretly, maybe not so secretly, but secretly, I had rap aspirations. I'm going to give you those bars each and every time. Let me tell you, I'm a menace in karaoke. And because I think I'm a rap star, I'm hitting off hip-hop songs in karaoke. Male songs. And I can do it, too. I got the breath control, the flow, and the voice. Check me out one time. At any rate, shout out to you, Andy, for dropping that West Coast hip-hop look. Yo-Yo, the IBWC, IBWing with my crew, and I really mess with Yo-Yo. And I'm really happy that she is finally getting the acknowledgement and the props from people, because I feel like, you know, West Coast rap with the women, it's not something that's talked about too often. Not even really something that's acknowledged. If you think about it right now, here today, and I think we've had this conversation before, but who's the female West Coast rapper that's putting in work? We got down south. We got the East Coast. Who's from LA? Who's from the West Coast, period? Don't really count Sweetie. I mean, you know, I guess we could count Doja, but Doja's pop. So, I don't know. I'm just thinking about that West Coast stand-up. We need some of you girls to hit harder. I like Kamaya, but, you know, what's she doing? When's the last time she put something out there? And is anybody else really checking for her?
Cam in China?
Are those the twins?
Yes.
I don't know their music like that. Like, I've seen them pop up on social media,
Right.
but I'm not really familiar. I'd be down to check it out because I want the West Coast girls stand up.
I will say that there is a bubbling scene, female rap out here on the West Coast. I don't know if you're familiar with Gina Views.
Yep.
She makes dudes rap, right? I think I brought this up before.
You have, yeah.
Yeah, she did the whole, it was like a female version. I believe it was like International Women's Day or whatnot.
Mhm.
And the majority of the women that was on there, they were from the West Coast. And they were spitting bars.
maybe Gina Views will come visit. I need to reach out.
Maybe.
I really, I feel strongly about this as far as females in rap, especially West Coast.
And she probably really has a grasp of what's really popping.
I would like to have that conversation with her. Let's see if we could get her on. We're going to work on that. So Pretty Brown Mimi wanted to talk a little bit before we play this Dwyane Wade clip about how losing the NBA Finals could not compare to this conversation he had to have with Gabrielle Union. And she said she wanted to speak a little bit about D. Wade leaving his first wife, leaving her in dire straits and moving on to Gabby. So unpopular opinion, I am kind of on D. Wade's side. Not, from all the drama. And obviously we know that there was some infidelity on both sides. She admitted it. And if you weren't aware of that, she did admit it to me. I'll pull up the interview. It's, maybe almost 10 years old at this point. But I did have a conversation with her, a few. And I just feel like, one, Miami is a hard city to go to, especially being a young athlete at that age and, coming from very, very humble beginnings. Shawnee O'Neal has talked about it. The girls in Miami and the girls in LA, but the girls in Miami, they're a different type of breed, and they're going to set things up that makes it hard for a man that maybe hadn't experienced these type of things to say no. So they both got caught in things. There was infidelity on both sides. I think they just grew apart. I think that they got married really, really young based on the circumstance of having their child young. And, we know that Dwyane had a rough family life and her family stepped up. But my question to you is, how long do you have to hold that over someone's head? How long does that "I helped you" go? Because if we were talking about a homeboy or an older person, you would say that person needs to let go. I don't know for certain the breakdown of their marriage, but I do know that they both played a role and they both had infidelities. And I think that the spotlight, unfortunately, got too big in both of them. I think that the thought, she was very hurt by their breakup, and I think that caused her to act out in certain ways. And that response garnered a certain response for him, because we're all human. I'm not justifying everything that he did or how that went down, but I do think that there were a lot of things that she did that impacted herself, especially with the courts. Because it takes a lot, even with a lot of money, it takes a lot for a woman to lose custody of her children and for them to put the custody into a man's hands. I know we see that more often, but when that happened, that was very much not a common situation. So that's it on that. As far as I'm concerned, Pretty Brown Mimi, if you have something more to add, you could call in or drop it in the chat. So we're going to get into this other clip from Dwyane's interview with Shannon, where he talks about how difficult it was to have the conversation with Gabby that he got his son Xavier's mother pregnant.
There was some infidelity in the relationship, or there's something that transpired. Was it harder for you to sit down and have a conversation and to tell her that something had happened outside the relationship, or losing the finals?
Way harder to have a conversation with my now wife.
Right.
Who wasn't at the time, but my now wife about it. Like, you try to think of everything possible.
Because you're thinking about what you're going to say, and you're also thinking about how she's going to react.
Yeah, I mean, you're thinking about it all.
Right.
It's all scary. One, the whole situation is scary enough.
Right.
You're a public figure, that's scary.
Right. Yeah.
But you've hurt, you know that this is going to hurt someone.
You know it's going to hurt. You know it's going to hurt.
That you've been building a relationship with and a life with.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And no matter what people say on the outside or what people want to think, this and that, like ultimately, like you got to sit with you and you got to sit with this person and this is who you're going to be with.
Right.
And I had to sit with my wife about this. Well, my now wife about this and had this conversation.
You told her before it became public.
Yeah. I did.
Because I don't know, D. Wade, if she'd have stuck with you.
So, I mean, there's more to the conversation. What he does end up acknowledging is that now, because, again, this is almost 10 years later, that he worries about how these stories are going to impact Xavier. That's his young son that he has with Aja. And he wonders how the burden of his son always having to hear break baby, and those circumstances are going to weigh on him as he gets older. Because here's the thing, he said that he and Gabby still have issues around it. Not issues, but still have conversations about it. The conversations are different. They're in a different place, but it does every so often come up. I do find it interesting that Shannon chose to ask that question and ask it in comparison to the NBA Finals are having this conversation. So interesting sort of way to frame up that conversation. Some people say, hey, D-Wade never showcases this child, and that's because of Gabby. I don't know. I think it's a combination of things. It's really hard. I think they do attempt to mix the things in as far as the blended family. I think that on the other side, his mother may not have wanted things as public. She and Gabby probably have their own issues, and it's just really complicated. But I do feel for the young man, and I hope at some point, we know not likely, but at some point that it doesn't become too much of a burden on him, because he doesn't deserve that. When we come forward, of course, more trending topics and headlines. Going to talk to you about what to watch this weekend and Oprah Winfrey shading you Uzapek users. All of that and more. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right. Y'all gotta try that Febreze car. Just right, just right, just right. Yeah. La 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 la. With up to 40 days of consistency, all over Febreze car clips right on your vent. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face when it smells just right, just right, just right. Yeah. Breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
Mom's early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
And when I left the oven on, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan.
Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Ew, gotta get rid of this old Backstreet Boys t-shirt.
Tell me why.
Because it stinks, boys.
Tell me why.
I've washed it so many times, but the odor won't come out.
Tell me why.
No, you tell me why I can't get rid of this odor.
Have you tried new Downy Rinse and Refresh? It doesn't just cover up odors, it helps remove them.
Wow, it worked, guys.
Yeah.
Downy Rinse and Refresh removes more odor in one wash than the leading value detergent in 3 washes. Find it wherever you buy laundry products.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action is the youth component of the impactful CBO, known as the Community Coalition. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action has chapters at almost every South LA high school. Say Yeah, as they are popularly known, is located at 80th and Vermont, but serves young people all over South LA. Under the COCO umbrella, they train youth organizers, help underserved scholars prepare for college, and work with students to help them gain admission to top universities. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action fosters teen activism, where young people have led campaigns moving tens of millions of dollars to South LA schools and forcing officials to make AP classes available to students in under-resourced institutions. SCES scholars have taken part in the March on Washington, been published in major news outlets, and been elected to city council. Long before she was mayor, Karen Bass started the program when she founded the Community Coalition. To donate, volunteer, or enroll a student in South Central Youth Empowered Through Action, please visit cocsouthla.org. cocsouthla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Now, it is Thursday, so that means I have to tell you what to watch this weekend, of course, as we get ready for the weekend. Things to check out, things that you need to be aware of. I already mentioned the Supermodels documentary that is on Apple TV+. Get into it. It's really good, and highlights an era of bygone as far as supermodels and what they went through that I don't think can ever be duplicated, especially with the supermodels. I mean, the Instagram model era that we're currently in. You know, we didn't hear these women talk. They were very, very young when they were starting out, 14, 15 years old. So it's interesting to hear the story from their perspective. So check that out. On Showtime, there is episode 1 of Deadlocked, How America Shaped the Supreme Court. This is from documentary filmmaker Don Porter. Very interesting as far as what went into the Supreme Court, how it was utilized politically, how we ended up where we are today, and some of the things that we believe about the process that aren't true. For example, did you know that there is no, I'm paraphrasing here, code of ethics for the Supreme Court? Things like that. Like, make sure you check it out. It's really informative, going to give you a lot of information and help you understand where we are today, so to speak, as far as moving forward in the future. Also, now this isn't coming up this weekend, but I just want to put it on your radar. Will Smith has a new hip-hop podcast coming. It's actually coming out next month, and it's called Hip Hop 88. Class of 88. So what it focuses on is the year of 1988 and the groups that came out then and their stories. Obviously, Will was out that year. I think that was it was 89 when he and Jazzy Jeff took home the first Grammy for hip hop. You know, a lot of people boycotted the ceremony because they weren't giving the award away on air. So some of those will be featured in this. It's going to be 8 episodes. And he will feature Queen Latifah, who we were talking about earlier, Salt and Pepper, DMC from Run DMC, DJ Jazzy Jeff, naturally, Rakim and Chuck D, and they will reflect on the year of 88. So 8 years, October 26th, the year of 88. I guess it was pretty transformative in hip-hop. That's right before NWA really hit the national scene. Kind of Tone Loc. We don't even talk about Tone Loc. Do people even know who Tone Loc was? That was one of the first big West Coast rappers, too, along with Ice-T. So, you know, we will see how that plays out and what's coming up. And, of course, you know, if you're into Power Book 4 Force drops tonight at midnight on Stars. Check that out. And football, Deion, Colorado, Oregon. We're going to see if they can make it to number 4. So that's your What to Watch segment. Make sure you are locked in and checking that out. So really quickly, and I think that, you know, this is probably going to be the last story of the night. We'll see. Oprah, she says that if you are utilizing Ozempic to lose weight, you're cheating. She says that after going through all of, you know, her journey with weight loss and food for most of her life, right? She believes that anything utilizing these drugs that's not natural is not it, and it's not healthy. She says, I don't know if there is another public person whose weight struggle has been exploited as much as mine has been over the years. I think that's so interesting because you think back to when Oprah ripped off the shirt when she had dragged out the wagon full of fat and the jeans, and we know we talked about how she practically starved herself for that moment, but she also utilized her weight loss as a topic for her show, a way to connect with people. So, you know, the change in approach is to be expected. I guess it's hard hearing other people always commenting on it, but her thought process is, shouldn't we all be more accepting of whatever body you choose to be in? That should be your choice, right? We know that she has a 10% stake in Weight Watchers. She said this during a conference where she was representing Weight Watchers. She said, it's how our bodies regulate weight, and each of us is different. Each of us is unique. Not one is superior to the other. It's hard to see you be ostracized in that way because this isn't about willpower. It's not necessarily your fault. So, listen, Oprah's telling y'all, just walk. She said she thought about, she had 2 knee surgeries over the past couple of years, and she considered it. But she said natural is the way to go. When I came home the first time, I literally could not lift my leg up. I couldn't lift my heel off the bed. And I vowed if I was ever to get up and walk around and move again, I would take advantage of movement and exercise and being able to be fully in my body. So shout out to Miss Oprah. You know, Oprah is Oprah 70 yet? Close. Might be there. So she says she's 69. Natural's the way to go. Stay away from those drugs. Stop abusing your body for weight loss and just accept whatever shape you're in as long as you are healthy. We know that's not going to happen, but hey, somebody take care of it. Shout out to the chat. They have stayed leaked and locked in. Pretty Brown Mimi says the Instagram models are beautiful, but nobody walks like Naomi Campbell. Nobody. That is for sure. And watching some of this documentary, hearing her story, we know that Naomi's dropping or has already dropped an autobiography. So the details that she shares in this docuseries, really important stuff. They're beautiful, man. And that was a time. Also, shout out to Tone Loc and Funky Cole Medina. Listen, I wonder where Tone Loc is. Tone Loc, Candyman, Young MC. We don't talk about those West Coast artists. They were clean cut. Anyway, thank you guys for locking in. As always, make sure that you are keeping up with all the shows here on KBLA and that, you know, you're telling a friend to tell a friend. So if you liked what you heard here tonight, make sure you share it. Make sure you hit that like button. Hit us up on, you know, we're available in podcast format too. Rate us there. And you can always hit me in DMs at Stiletto Jill. And since it is my Friday, I want to also say, if you have any problems, ask for answers at night. Ask questions at night. Look for answers in the morning. Basically, sleep on it. See how you feel in the morning. And hopefully you'll be feeling amazing like I do every time I check in with my VIPs. So next week, I'm not sure what we have coming up next week, but you know that is going to be fire, heat, as always. More interviews, more trending topics, more headlines. Really quickly, I do have time for one more story. Shout out to Tyler James Williams for finally getting granted a restraining order. Tyler has had a stalker who showed up at his home unannounced after traveling over 2,200 miles. I don't know why I said 220. 2,200 miles, rang his doorbell over 30 times in a 4-hour period. Listen, what is going through your mind that you're doing that? And oh, by the way, it's not a new female admirer since, you know, Tyler has grown up and Abbott and has become appealing to the ladies. This was a man. We don't know what he wants from him. We don't know what he thought the relationship was with him, but y'all got to get control of these type of things. What drives someone to do that? 2,200 miles across country to ring someone's doorbell over 30 times? Really is too easy to find people's address in 2023. I mean, really, really, really. Shout out to Pretty Brown Mimi for holding down the chat tonight. We appreciate you. We appreciate everyone that's clocked in. VIPs, you make sure that you have a good weekend. And you know, when we come forward on the other side, you're going to be locked in to the best of KBLA, the very best, because that's what we do. We deliver. Thank you for rocking with us, and make sure that you are locked here every night, Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. to midnight. Tomorrow's the best of. I appreciate you, VIPs. Have an amazing night.
Man, that's if he is a honkin'. He'll call me baby.